Last Sunday, I began the teaching on resourceful thinking. I did explain to you that your thoughts are powerful. They influence you, they control you, and that God gave us the brain, the mind, so we can think. And then through thinking, provide solutions to the problems that confront us, overcome the challenges that come our way. I did say to you that God gave you a brain or a mind so you can give him rest. So he expects you to think. And we saw that over 80% of Christians do not really think. They would rather pray than think. And I did say to you that thinking is hard work because it requires commitment. It requires you to do a lot of analysis. And we saw the difference between worry and thinking. Worry and resourceful thinking. And that worry has to do with you focusing on the challenge you're having, the negative effects it's having on you, and imagine the worst to happen. You're just dwelling on what you're going through, how you're feeling, the pain you're going through, the discomfort you're having, but you're not really looking at how to resolve the problems. But in resourceful thinking, we think of how to resolve the issues. We want to get to the core of the problem. We want to identify the root and then find solutions on how to overcome. And then we concluded by looking at 4 principal functions of the mind. We said number 1, the mind is the center of learning. And number 2, it serves as an information bank where all the things we see, the things we hear, the things we experience are stored. The information brought through our 5 physical senses, which is the eyes, the sight, your nose, which is your smell, your tongue, taste, then your hands on your body where you touch things, the touch, and then the hearing. Now all the information passed to the brain are all stored. So what you feel, what you touch, what you smell, what you see, all are stored within you, and from there they begin to work on you, either positively or negatively. Then we saw also that the mind is the center of reasoning. And then we also saw that there's a place of imagination where we paint the pictures of tomorrow. We form pictures in our minds. So today we want to look at generating resource through thinking. Generating resource through thinking. Now, thinking is a function of the mind. Thinking is putting the brain to work. How do I know that I am thinking? The results that it produces will show that I'm thinking. Because we think to generate results. We think to provide solutions to the problems, the challenges that we face. We think in order to chart a new course and move on with our lives. So the results will show that you're thinking. So if the results are negative, it means you're not thinking. And the level of thoughts determines the results that we have. All human brain is the same worldwide. Whether it's the brain of a dark-skinned man like me, or light-skinned man like a Caucasian, or Chinese skin or Asian skin or whatever color, it doesn't really matter. The brain is the same worldwide. Whether you've got small head or you've got big size head or, over big size head, whatever size of head doesn't matter. The brain, the capacity of the brain is the same. The only problem is putting it to work. Why some people spend more time thinking, others don't. They chase shadows. They look for who to blame. They look for who to rely on. They sleep around, play around, lazy around, while others are thinking. So when we think, we generate answers to the puzzles of life. Because we think to generate answers to the puzzles of life, to the challenges that we have faced from time to time. We think to analyze problems. so that we can identify the root of the problem and how to solve it. So when we think, we come up with workable solutions, effective solutions, so that when we start to implement them, we see a turnaround. So it's not enough for me to prophesy unto you and tell you, hey, God will change your situation. God will deliver you from that problem. But I must also tell you, you need to connect to God, to the infinite mind of God through meditation. Analyzing what is before you, communing with the Holy Ghost while you're doing the thinking, so the Holy Spirit can inspire you and help you get to the bottom of the problem and how to solve it. Thinking is exercising the mind, and the mind needs to be exercised so it can produce the best for you. If you have a computer, for instance, and you never use it, the computer remains the same but still possesses 100% its capacity. You have your phone in your hand, and that phone can perform a lot of functions. But maybe all you do with it is to make a call or send text messages. That does not mean that it cannot perform many other functions. So it's only when you start to use it that you begin to discover and use all the functions that the phone can perform. So performance depends on exercise. So if you want to exercise your brain, then you do what we call thinking, analytical thinking, reasoning, looking at the issues straight. You don't try to find faults or shift blames to people, but you look at it squarely and solve the problem. I found out that many people will always say the devil is the reason why I am where I am. The devil is the reason why things are the way they happen. But we never really stop to think of the actions that we have taken, the steps we have taken, the words we have spoken, our daily routine, the role that they play in our experience. The words we speak, the role that they play in our experience. How we relate with people, the things we do repeatedly, and the effect upon our lives. And that's why when I teach, I always like to leave the devil part to the last, so that you can look at other things critically, see them the way they are, and be able to identify where you are failing, what you have done wrong or you're doing wrong. Because if we keep blaming the devil, we will never correct what opens the door to the devil. If we keep, shifting the blame to other people, we will never do what we need to do to end the circle of challenges and problems that we're having. So it calls for you using your mind, thinking, looking at situations straight, being rational about the whole thing. Don't spiritualize things. Don't try to play the lazy thing, the lazy game. Just look at it squarely. Thinking is making the brain work. It is placing a demand on the brain to come up with the answers and solutions you need. Until you make the brain work, nothing works for you, because you will not know what to do, the right steps to take, the right moves to make to correct things or to open up things for yourself. So you've got to use your brain. And sitting down to be alone with yourself and with God, looking at things critically. I'm not talking about worrying, but analyzing in order to move forward. It takes concentration. It takes hard work, and many of us can't concentrate. I see it every time in church. We can't sit down for 10 minutes without moving up, going here, going there, going there, going there. Some of you cannot even stay for 5 minutes without picking your phone and scrolling like a little baby who is playing with a toy. We find it difficult to concentrate. That's why some of you cannot spend 30 minutes in God's presence. You can spend 1 hour, not because you are going anywhere, but because you lack the discipline of concentration. That's where the hard work is. And to think, you need to concentrate. Please, I want you to know that it is your thinking that moves you forward. Thinking involves collation of information. Analyzing those information. Sorting them out. Then painting pictures. That's imaging and formulation of ideas and plans with the information that you have. Let's say, for instance, I want to start a business. The usual thing is, I need to rent a shop. What is it you want to sell? I will just look around. Anything that is moving, I put my hand inside. Oh, they said this thing is moving in the market. I go and find where they are selling it. And then I come and put it there. That's not it. You collect information. You research about what you want to sell. You research about the best place to sell it. You research about who your target customers are likely to be, or the people you want to sell to, and how best to package it so that it will be appealing to them. You ask yourself, can they pay the price that this thing is really worth? Because what you sell to people in a community like this is not what you sell to people in a community like Lekki. I hope you know. It may be the same product, but not the same price. And the packaging cannot be the same. And the shop here may look, the lowest level, but the shop on the other side has to be first class. Does someone understand what I'm saying? So all of this information, you need to collect them, analyze them, sort them out, and then based on that, you can now begin to formulate plans and make decisions on what you want to achieve and how you need to go about it. But people just come and start. So at the end, when their rental is over, the business has closed. No brain work went into it. So it will always end like that. The next thing is there is a witch that is after me. Which witch? You see, we have a problem and we need to solve that problem. The problem is that we don't do first things first. And then we're always running from responsibilities. If you spend your time thinking, you will not look for a witch to blame. Do your mental work first. Sit down and analyze and look at the situation. Collect information. Get information. Seek for information. Put them together. Sit with them. Analyze them. Look out for these things, and at the end of the day, determine what you really want and what will work and how to go about it. Make a plan based on adequate information. The business will work. Thinking is exploration of the mind. What you don't explore, you don't discover. And we make progress through discovery. Psalm 42 verse 7. The NIV version says, deep calls to deep in the roar of the waterfalls. All your waves and breakers have swept over me. Deep calls to deep in the roar of your waterfalls. All your waves and breakers have swept over me. You see, if you become a deep thinker, it will be easy for God to come in with you. When you sit down to meditate and you are praying at the same time, you're thinking and you're talking to God, please, I need answers. What do I do? How do I go about this? How do I resolve this issue? And you're thinking and you're analyzing the problem. How did I get to this point in the first place? What led to it? Definitely you're going to connect to the Spirit of God. And the Spirit of God will begin to bring things up into your mind, helping you to understand what you're searching for. And then before you know what's happening, you have all the clues you need. You have all the answers you need. You begin to see, you begin to know why it's not working and what you need to do for it to work. So it's very important that you realize that when you think you can connect to God. Remember, the Bible says that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ever ask or think. Another translation says, or imagine. So God is connected to your thoughts too. He's connected to your thoughts. He knows what you're thinking. In response to them, he says he's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that you can ever imagine. You can never ask or imagine. Ask or think. And we are told the story of the woman who bled for 12 years. You remember her story? And the Bible never told us she asked for or prayed about the situation, but we know definitely she must have been meditating about it and talking to God. But in that day, she was just thinking in her mind, if only I could just touch him. Touch his clothes. Just his clothes. Without him hearing my story, without him specially ministering to me, I know I will be healed. That was a state of her mind. And when she acted on that, instantly God responded. And she was healed. Which means, while she was meditating, God knew what she was thinking. God was connected to her thoughts. God judged those thoughts. God called it faith. And God saw she acted it out, and God responded. Without Jesus having to lay hands or pray or speak over her, she actually got healed. The flow of blood stopped. And Jesus said, somebody took something from me because I felt power leave me. I want to see that person. So he knows your thoughts. So when you think, you are reasoning. And when you reason, understanding is achieved. And understanding determines your attitude in life. How well you understand your business will determine how you will succeed in it. How far you will go in it. How well you understand what you're doing will determine how you will flow in it and the outcome of what you're doing. And to gain understanding, you need to think. You need to reason. You need information to work with. Proverbs chapter 23 verse 7 tells us, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. King James Version. As he thinketh in his heart, so is he. As you think, so are you. So your thoughts make you. So if you have spent adequate time to reason well, it will show in your life. Problem causes or propels a man to think. How many of you remember the Civil War that happened many years ago? I know many of you were not here then, but you have heard the story. How the problem that the Biafrans were faced with caused them to think. And then they were able to produce some levels of ammunition that they use. You've heard of the Ogbunigwe, right? They even tried to make an helicopter that flew to a certain level and fell down. They were able to refine their own petrol without having the conventional equipment for refining that, the crude oil. Their ingenuity came alive. What caused that? The problem they were faced with, the challenge they were faced with. Are you experiencing some form of challenge? It's time for you to think. You've tried to look for a job is not coming. It's time for you to think. When you are faced with difficulty, worry is not what you do, but you do resourceful thinking. You put your brain to work and think of the way out. What can I do? What has God given me? What gifts do I possess? What abilities do I have? What can I do over and over again without getting tired that I can, use to make money for myself? When you identify, then you now start asking yourself, how do I do it so that this thing will be profitable? The Bible says in every labor there is profit. Now, so if I want to go into this, how do I do it in such a way that I can make profit from it? Enough profit to sustain myself. You sit down, you pray, you think. You pray, you meditate, you hear, you continue. And you continue until you come up with a very effective plan. So problems create mental reactions. For some, it makes them worry. And then before they know what's happening, their blood pressure shoots up. They have migraine or they collapse. Somewhere along the line, either they end up in the psychiatric hospital or they are suffering from depression because they are looking at the problem negatively. But for some, when they are faced with a problem, then they sit down and solve it. Like a young man who said, look, when I was fired from my teaching job, I got fired up. And before he knew what was happening, he became a multi-million-dollar salesman. He said, I knew I was a lousy teacher. I wasn't good in teaching, but I just managed the job. And the students knew also that I was not a good teacher. So they were not falsely accusing me. I knew I was not a good one. So when I finally lost the job, they asked me to go. I had to sit with myself to ask myself, what can I really do? He reacted mentally in a positive way and began to think of himself and what he's equipped with the abilities he has, the talent he has. He looked inwards. And before he knew what was happening, he realized that he's a good salesperson and he can sell anything. He joined the company, started selling. First year on the job, he hit $1 million mark. First year. You don't need a prophet to tell you what you are made of. You don't need a prophet to tell you what God put in you. It is you who has to discover what God put in you. So all you need to do is sit down with yourself and ask yourself questions and ask God questions. Check yourself. Think. So if you are faced with financial challenge, think, how can I overcome this financial challenge? If you are always experiencing losses, think. Do you know why we keep having repeat of the same problem, repeat of the same experience over and over again? Because we refuse to think. Because if there is something that you are doing that is always making this thing to happen, because you have failed to think, you have failed to realize, this is where I am missing it. This is the thing that I'm doing that is opening this door. And until I stop it, this thing will continue. Even when God sends a prophet to you and speaks to you, you may not take it serious until you discover it yourself. Negative mental reaction is injurious to you as a man. But when you react positively, you create solutions to the problems that confront you. And I want you to react positively. I want you, rather than worry about the situation, I want you to think resourcefully about it. Problems don't leave you the same way they met you. It's either they improve you or they destroy you. It's either they raise you or they cause you to sink the more. Depending on how you mentally attend to the challenge before you. Never attend to a problem in a negative way. Amen? Look at it positively. In every challenge, there's always something to gain from it. When one door closes, I tell you, another door is about to open. But if you concentrate on the closed door, you will not see the open door. So don't be negative about it. Be positive about it and start asking questions about what next. God, what are you saying? Where's the door? What's my next opportunity? What's my next line of action? What should I do now that my situation and circumstance is like this? A positive thinker does not, in the face of a problem, react. Someone who is positive, someone who is full of faith, someone who knows the word, someone who believes the word, someone who claims to be a son of God does not react in the face of a problem, but he responds to the challenge through resourceful thinking. He accepts, yes, I recognize the challenge. I'm equal to the task. I can handle this one. Jesus said, in this world you will have many troubles, but be of good cheer. I have already overcome for you. Which means my victory over that challenge is already decreed. The victory of Jesus means that I will overcome that challenge or any other challenge for that matter that will come my way. So I should not panic. So I am positive. I will overcome. For everyone born of God overcomes the world. So I know, because I am born of God, I am going to overcome this one. So I do not react, but I respond to the challenge with faith. And I settle down with it to look at it critically, analyze it, and come up with a solution. And know what next to do. I want you to know that all the scientific breakthroughs we have today are all all the breakthroughs, all the products we see, they are all the result of a mental, response from someone who took it up as a challenge. If people didn't die of malaria, somebody will not begin to research on how to cure malaria or how to prevent it. Even the clothes you wear, there is a difference between nylon clothes and cotton clothes, and there is a difference. And the one who made the nylon will tell you, look, I want something I can wash very fast and it will dry very fast. Cotton does not dry as fast as nylon. How many of you agree? And cotton can tear faster too. Wool is different. All the materials you put on your body, there's a different way the materials are different. Someone was trying to solve a problem that somebody complained about. The shoe you are wearing, there's a difference why you have, there's one they call, what's that thing they call it? Suede, right? It's like rubber. It's not rubber. What do you call it? Synthetic, not synthetic. There's one name they call it. You just clean it like this and the thing is sparkling. Wet what? Wet lips? What they call the shoe is wet lips. All right. Whatever it is anyway, but you understand. What made someone create that? You clean, wipe, it's shining. You don't need polish. So somebody who doesn't have the time or who feels that polishing a shoe is stressful can easily buy that one and just take a rag, piam, piam, you're off, you go. How many of you understand what I'm talking about? Every material you see is to solve a problem that someone complained about. The first microphone that came was not like this. And every day they are improving them. Every model, there's a difference between the new model and the old model. Take your phone, for instance. Every model, there's a difference between the old and the new. There's always an improvement. When they add a new thing, they drop the old. They start marketing the new one. And then they create a new one and they want you to drop the old. So they want you to follow them and keep improving because they are bringing something new. That is to say, they are trying to solve a problem that people like you complain about. So, problems should not be seen as if my world is over. God sends them so that the best of you can come out. So that you can put your brain to work. You can think and reason and look inwards and connect to the infinite mind of God and be able to bring out something that will better your life and better the life of others who are connected to you. So you carry a lot inside you. Don't let that brain waste. Tell anybody, don't let your brain waste. Use it. Now quickly. Requirement for resourceful thinking. This is very important. Requirement for resourceful thinking. The things you need if you want to be a resourceful thinker. You want to, through your thinking, produce resource for yourself and others. Number one, you need curiosity. Everybody say curiosity. Curiosity. Resourceful thinking begins with curiosity. Curiosity is a desire to know the why and how about life. A desire to know the why and how of this experience. A desire to know why is it like this and not like this. If you look at your children, the little babies, you see them, they're always trying to explore everything. You give them something, they toss it around. If you tell them, don't do this, it will hurt you. They will go there. Why do they go there? Because they want to see whether what you said is true. They are curious to know why mom says I should not touch. They are curious to know why dad says I should not touch. And then when they find it, let's assume it's candlelight. Say don't touch it, it will burn you, the fire will burn you. And somehow, the fire burns. The child won't go there next time. He has discovered that what you said is true. They are very curious. And any person who wants to produce through his thoughts must be curious also. You need to know. You need to know why. You need to know why. You are interested in knowing why. You are interested in knowing how. Curiosity is finding out why things are the way they are. Curiosity is craving for answers. Curiosity is passion for solutions. It's inside you burning and you express it through thinking. I want to know, why am I where I am? Why are others better than me? Why is this man doing better and I'm not doing better? You don't go to a native doctor to consult them. You don't look for a prophet to consult. You sit down with God. You pray, you think. You look at your life, you look at how you've been doing your things, you will find the answers. Number two, you need concentration. Everybody say concentration. Number one is what? Number two is what? Problem first day is simple. The first day a problem comes to you is simple. A little more time given to it, it becomes hard. If you do not attend to it to solve it at that initial time, it becomes hard. In other words, the more time you give it, the stronger the problem. Later, it becomes difficult. Later, it becomes impossible. So concentration is enhanced by narrowing down the problem, by possibly writing them down. Writing the problem down and identifying the core. You concentrate on the problem. This is the problem. Put it down. And then you begin to look at it. You break it down. You narrow it down. You narrow it down. And then finally you get to the root. You get to the core of the problem. Until you identify the root of the problem, you will never be able to solve a problem. Let me tell you. If you take a tree and cut off the branches, what will happen after some time? It will come up again, right? Cut off everything. No leaves, no branches. But the root is still in the ground. What will happen to it? It will come up again. You cut it from the stem only. This one is off, but the root is still in the ground. After a long time, what will happen again? You will see some leaves coming out. True or false? And then if you give it time, branches will start again. In other words, as long as the root is in the ground, you haven't killed it yet. It's only a matter of time the problem will arise again. And that's what is happening with many people. That's why the problems of your life do not really permanently leave you, because the root, what causes the problem, what opens the door for it, still remains until you trace it. So what we do in concentration is that we concentrate on the problem, analyzing it to get to the root, to the core of the problem. We break them apart. Take this layer off, take the other layer off, take this layer off. So you sit with it, concentrating, analyzing it, looking at it, until you finally say, I get it. This is the cause. Then the next line of action will not be, how do I eliminate this? How do I change it? Concentration. Tell your neighbor, concentrate. Look, it's my mother that is responsible for my problem. It's my father that is responsible for my problem. We won't solve the problem. Many of us do not want to admit our own faults. Many of us do not want to look inwards. We are good at behaving like Adam. Adam, where are you? The woman you gave me. So he shifted away. First of all, before the woman came, I didn't have problem with you. It was you who gave me the woman. And it is the woman who caused the problem. So it's you and the woman. Please leave me alone. And then he turned to the woman, and what did the woman say? The serpent. So it's been like that ever since. We are always fixing the blame, looking for someone to blame, but never taking responsibility. We don't always look at ourselves. And like somebody said, when you are pointing to somebody like this, the other fingers are doing what? Pointing back at you. Listen, brothers and sisters, if you really want to solve a problem, look at it holistically. Be objective. Don't be partisan about it. Don't look for who to blame. But try to get to the root of the problem and solve it. That's why brain work is there. That's why God gave you this thing you carry in your head. This thing you carry that is inside, called the brain. You need to use it. Will you? Church, will you use it? So concentration is one thing at a time. Problems are not solved by allowing it to lie down. Don't. You complicate it. You make it tougher for you to handle if you just leave it. Some people say, oh, time solves all problems. Time doesn't solve any problem. It is people who solve problems, not time. And the more you allow the problem to stay, the tougher it is for you. The harder it is for you to overcome. Because the more time you give it, the more ground it gains. The more complicated it becomes. Amen, somebody. So problems are not solved by allowing it to lie down, but by giving it your time, your attention. So if you are not a good thinker, You cannot even be a good prayer person. Sometimes we're not praying right. Say if you are not a good thinker, you may not be a good prayer person. You need to be a good thinker to be a good prayer person. Number 3. We're looking at requirement for resourceful thinking. Number 3. You need thinking companions. Everybody say thinking companions. What some people refer to as a think tank. A group of people who can reason with you. That's why when companies work, they put together a team and they sit down to collect information and to reason together, to formulate policies, to formulate plans. When one of them comes up with an idea, they allow him to make a presentation. And then they sit down and discuss it and ask questions. And then they go back, review it, come back again, meet over it. They may meet over it several times. They are brainstorming on that idea. So that at the end of the day, they come up with a policy that will not fail. Or come up with a plan that is foolproof. So you need people to think with you. You need people to reason. I think that is one of the reasons why God decided that man should marry. So you have someone to reason with. Unfortunately, some of us reason a different way. Some of us are very negative, some are very positive. So it's wrong combination, big problem. Some are ruled by fear, while some are always fake people. So they always expect the best to happen. Some are always seeing the good side of things, see the best coming. The other one is always seeing the wrong thing that will happen, seeing how you are going to fail. But nevertheless, you need to listen to both. So that maybe the one who is always seeing the wrong things may see something that you have not seen because you are too positive and you did not take time to look at the pitfalls along the way. Amen, somebody? So you need a think tank. It doesn't have to be your wife. It doesn't have to be your husband. It doesn't have to be your father. It doesn't have to be your mother. But you must have one or two persons that you reason with. That's why people have mentors. That's why people have people they look up to, people they can approach, people they can say, look at this scene that I'm looking at. This is my idea. This is what I'm thinking. This is what do you think about it? So you need people you can trust, people who have sharp minds, people who are positive, not negative, people who are objective, people who will not spiritualize everything but will look at things critically as they are, but yet at the same time, they are men and women of God, men and women of faith. How many of you understand what I'm talking about? You need them, people to reason with, people to look at what you have. Somebody came to me many years ago and he wanted me to pray so that the business he wants to do will prosper. It's not our member, they come from another church. And I asked him, do you have a business plan? He was looking at me. I repeated what I said, and I realized that he doesn't even know what a business plan is. So I broke it down for him, and I realized he has written down nothing. He has no idea of what he wants to do, but he wants me to pray that he will prosper. He has not done his own work, not done any research. Nothing has been done, but he wants to prosper. I said, look, here, I don't just pray for people. I try to look at what you are presenting before God. So that when I pray for you, my prayer will not be wasted, it will work. So I offer more than prayer, I give you advice. Business advice for free. That if you use it, it will bear fruit for you. So please, I want you to know you need to do your homework. Don't be lazy about it. Hello, somebody. Tell your neighbor, learn to make research. Say it again, learn to make research. Never embark on anything without first of all doing your brain work. You didn't hear me. Repeat it. Say, never embark on anything without first of all doing your homework. Brain work. Tell your neighbor, brain work. Say it again, brain work. Tell the person, brain work is hard work. Don't be lazy about it. In fact, let me tell you the truth. Brain work is the hardest part of the job. Some of us think that the hardest part of the job is the physical part. No. The hardest part of the job is brain work. And that's why many people run away from it. But you can't run away anymore. Do you want to make progress? Somebody answer me. Do you want to make progress? Again, one of the ways also to get ideas and to help yourself in your reasoning is by connecting to people through their books. You know, when I read a man's book, I get what he's thinking inside me. If I read it so well and I'm familiar with the man's kind of writing, his thoughts will flow through me and flow through my mouth too. When you listen to a man severally, there's every tendency you may start to reason like the person and talk like the person. So the books you read help to form your thought pattern. It helps to shape the way you see, how you reason, and the conclusions you come up with. So find good authors, sound authors, authors whose teachings and instructions are not outside of God's will and word, but based on it. Whose teachings can inspire you and help you reason well and shape your mind so that you can become the best that God wants you to be. We have good books there that can help you. So rub minds through books. Amen? Get people who can help you reason together. Please, it's not everybody you share with, because not everybody can help you. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Not everybody can reason along with you. Look for people you can say, this is my mentor. I like this man. He has succeeded to a certain level, and I want to be like him. I see I can learn from him. I see he can guide me. I see she can help me. Then you can sit and listen and share together. In conclusion, success demands creative and resourceful thinking. You need to place a demand on your mind to come up with some ideas that will give you the break you need. In times of difficulties and problems, don't despair, but think on how to come out of the problem. How many of you have observed lately that there are so many businesses that some of our Nigerian young men are bringing out today? Many people are coming up with so many ideas. At first, it may look as if it's impossible. This can never be. Whoever thought that people will ever agree with the kind of fraud history that we have in Nigeria, people will ever agree to buy anything online? Whoever thought it would happen in Nigeria? But today is the in thing. Am I correct, somebody? And the people also knew the challenge. So they did not only talk about it, they did not only put up a website and all that, but they also knew that some people would not want to pay online because they don't trust the internet because of the history of fraudulent activities in the country. So what did they do? They came up with an idea. Pay on delivery. How many of you know that one? You see? So you don't allow a perceived problem or existing problem to stop you. You must use your brain to think of how to bypass it or cut it off completely and overcome it. Today, Jumia, Konga, name it. There are so many of them, they are coming up. Even banks are now getting involved. How many of you know that? Everybody, because it's a big market and it's a growing market. And there's no end to it. Even you can sell on any of these platforms. You don't have a shop. You don't have